Snow White. There once lived a king and queen who ruled over a distant land. The queen was lovely and beautiful. Everybody in the kingdom adored the queen. The only sadness queen had was that she did not bear any child. Once, when she was busy with her needlework, she gazed at the sight of the falling snow out of her ebony window. A bird flew straight and alarmed the queen. To this, she pricked her own finger with the needle. As she looked at the blood dripping on the white snow, she wished for a beautiful fair daughter. She exclaimed, "I wish to have a daughter as white as the snow, lips as red as the blood, and her hair as black as ebony." After this, the queen had her wish granted and she gave birth to Snow White. But luck was not in favor of the queen. As soon as she gave birth to Snow White, she died. The king then married a new queen. The new queen was beautiful but with an evil heart. She was engaged with black magic and she also owned a magic mirror. She would ask the mirror every day, "Who is the fairest?" The mirror could reply, "You, my queen." This satisfied the queen as she knew the magic mirror would speak nothing but the truth. One morning, she again asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror, who is the fairest?" This time, the mirror replied, "You are fair, my queen, but Snow White is fairer than you." To this, the evil queen was inflated with rage. Out of acute jealousy, she devised a plan to kill Snow White, so that she can be the fairest of all. She called her huntsmen and ordered them to kill Snow White in the forest and bring her heart as proof. The huntsmen took Snow White to the forest, but the kind huntsman could not kill the innocent girl and thus brought the queen a heart of a wild boar, reflecting that of the Snow White. Snow White was all alone in the forest. She ran as far as she could get. She stopped near a little house. She entered the house and found 7 tiny beds in a row with soft quilts. As she was very hungry, she ate a few vegetables there and drank milk from 7 cups and was fast asleep. Next, she was awakened at the sight of 7 dwarfs gazing intently at her. The dwarfs welcomed her. She introduced them to Snow White and related them to her story. The dwarfs sympathized with her and asked her to stay with them. So, Snow White's life began with the 7 dwarfs. She cooked for them while they went to the mine of gold in the mountains. On the other side of the world, the cruel queen, believing the wild boar's heart to be that of Snow White, was leading her life happily in the castle. Again, she asked her magic mirror who was the fairest of all. This time too, the mirror replied that Snow White is the fairest, who is now living with the 7 dwarfs. To this, the queen again flew into a rage and devised a more cunning plan. She dressed up as a beggar woman and went up to Snow White and forced her to eat one of her apples that she was pretending to sell. After much insisting, Snow White finally gave a bite at a red apple. As soon as she did so, She fell to the ground. When the dwarfs returned, they saw Snow White lying dead on the floor. They were very sad. They cried utterly and carried Snow White to the graveyard. On the way, they encountered a handsome prince. The prince was mesmerized at the sight of Snow White. He stopped and knelt to kiss Snow White. This was love's first kiss, which broke the curse of the evil queen. Snow White then jumped up and said, all were most relieved as Snow White came back to her life. After this, she lived with the handsome prince happily ever after. Also the evil queen was then banished from the kingdom for her ill deed, and she never came back.